raise future leaders while shaping leaders' futures all in a day's work. Leaders in their own right. The crowd shaker, the groundbreaker. We say power to you, the harmonic melodic airbender. The platform taker, the voice of reason, the perception shifter, the sister and brother from another mother. The time has come to dial into a frequency that allows you to really be you. To you we say power. Power 98.7. Now we're talking.
On FM, online, and DSTV channel 889. This is Power 98.7.
This is Power 98.7. And now you're listening to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. 9 a.m. to midday. Taking your calls on 0861 987 000.
Sanbonani, Dumelang. Welcome to Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, on this momentous Friday. We promised earlier in the week that we will bring you the unfinished interview with the M23 spokesperson, Lawrence Kanyuka. And we've got a pre-record, particularly in light of the news that SADC forces will be withdrawing from the Eastern DRC. And we're going to start with that interview, and we'll take your calls in the open line from 9:30. Please, let's listen to this interview, because we must always stick to our promises and deliver on our promises. Here is Lawrence Kanyuka. Again, I'd like to really appreciate deeply that you have agreed to come to our show. We really do want a basic explanation of what the M23 really is, so that the South African public has an appreciation of what the movement is and the rest of the dynamics in the region.
M23 is a Congolese organization. Is a Congolese movement that have roots or have background Congolese. The M23, as you understand, M23 comes from March 2009 agreement between the CNDP and the DRC government. Peace agreement signed on the 23rd March 2009. That peace agreement stated that all the army should be integrated, and the politicians as well integrated, and the agreement itself being implemented accordingly. But what happened is that cadres, political or militaries of CNDP were integrated in DRC National Army, they started being killed by the DRC government. The DRC government refused to honor or to implement the peace agreement signed in international level, on international level. So a group of cadres started to raise a voice and to tell the DRC government and international community that the signed agreement hasn't been fulfilled. The DRC government refused to do so and started killing our compatriots. It's not right. So these things that is being signed on international level being flattered like this by the DRC government. So a group of cadres retreated to the mountain of Benyoni. From there, they start making noise to the international community, calling everyone to have a look what Kinshasa is doing, refusing to honor the agreement, killing people, spreading the hate speech, and everything is going back to what it was before. The DRC government, instead of approaching the group of cadres that were actually on the mountain crying for help. It decided to attack. It decided to kill and eliminate everyone. So that is how the M23 get live on the 6th of May 2012. But the M23 only seek freedom for Congolese. Stop apartheid. Stop bad governance, exclusion, xenophobia, cannibalism. These are the stuff that the M23 actually advocates. And these are human rights basics. And what M23 is asking for is asking for the human right of Congolese, exclusion to stop, not to select who can be called Congolese. We irritated these colonial borders from Germany, Berlin, conferences that cut our countries like a piece of cake, without bearing in mind the community that lives in both sides of countries. So this has been cut this way and created a problem. And the M23 has been raising this problem since then, calling the international community to put pressure on Kinshasa to stop community apartheid. And this is no good. It's killing people for the way they look, saying the Tutsis are foreign, are no Congolese, and saying all the wonderful speaking are Rwandese. And this exclusion is creating a problem until today. We have the same problem until today. So the M23 is a Congolese movement that seeks freedom, peace, and recognition of their people that are Congolese like everyone else, and the DRC government to stop apartheid.
The M23 at the moment, is it a mass-based organization, or is it purely a sort of military organization? And when I say mass-based organization, I'm trying to make comparisons between a political party that has an armed section or an armed wing, or is it basically just an armed wing?
As you can recall what I said at the beginning, I said the cadres, and on the cadres I said the military has to be integrated in the army and the political as well. So the M23 is political military movement, like the ANC was in South Africa at the time of apartheid. The same cause that the ANC was fighting then is the same cause that the M23 is fighting today for the people of DRC. Is a political, we have a political, it's not a question of wings or military. We have one organization that have one leadership, and that same leadership we have the military side as well, like any organization.
Recently, then, the reports are that you have taken over Goma. Could you just walk us through, firstly, that confrontation or military confrontation that resulted into M23 taking over that part of the DRC?
First of all, you have to be known that the M23 is no warmongering organization. We never sought to fight the DRC government at all. We asked for surrounding and conditions surrounding on 2020, October 2020. We were in Kinshasa. We spent 14 months in Kinshasa negotiating with the DRC government then. And on the second week of November 2021, the DRC government came to start attack our positions and want to eliminate everybody. This is how the war started. So the M23 since then always call for a dialogue because this crisis is a political crisis that does not have a military solution, because we have to go to the root causes, address the root causes of this conflict. So since then, the M23 have been calling for that. We started in Laduma, and the DRC government all the time is starting a new campaign of bringing foreign arms groups, entertaining FDLR, who had the Interahamwe that committed genocide in Rwanda in 1994 against the Tutsi of Rwanda. They brought in Burundi National Forces, mercenary, and MONUSCO also on the side, and the SADC forces. And Goma was over-militarized, and there was a weapon all over the place. People were killing every single day. And there were no water, no electricity in Goma. Every single day, people, citizens, were killed. The town of Goma was suffocating. There were so many military personnel and so many military in different countries, all in one town. At the same time, people were killing every single day. The act of cannibalism that was happening in Goma was unacceptable. You see someone, we judge him by the way he look, they check the nose, is a long nose, they say it's a foreign, he's tall, they say it's a foreign, he's a Rwandese, he's Congolese, and people are being lynched, even military personnel being lynched and claimed that they are actually a foreign, and it's not a single word from the DRC government. So it was too much, and even before we came to the town of Goma, 2 to 3 days beforehand, there were a massacre committed in the prison of Munzenze, where many women were burned alive, raped, killed. So this became unacceptable. So the town of Goma had to be liberated from the carnage, the horrible hell of massacre was happening in this town, created by the DRC government, supported by the South African forces. This was not really unacceptable anymore, because many people should recall that many countries in the world supported South Africa to free South Africa from apartheid. Today, we see South Africa coming to support a government that suppress people and apply and implement apartheid within the country. It was really controversial. We could not believe that the people that fought, the people that see themselves working hard to get rid of apartheid, and today they call themselves a rainbow country where they have everybody in there. Why not us, who don't have white, yellow as citizens, but all blacks, but they separate us because of our size, our nose, or the way they look. And this was unacceptable in a way our fellow African exemplary country like South Africa will send troops to kill Congolese, to implement the apartheid plan of Mr. Tshisekedi, to walk around mercenary, where South Africa himself fought mercenary in Angola, fought mercenary in Mozambique, and today South Africa is fighting alongside mercenary to just implement an apartheid program, just because of interest of countries, politics of countries. This really shook us, and we could not understand this. So the town of Goma, we have to do everything to actually liberate our people. And we never started this war it was the DRC government and its allies who were attacking our position and densely populated area. We even made a communique 2 to 3 days beforehand. We said that we've been attacked, and here the population has been attacked every single day using heavy weaponry, at the same time using the airport of Goma, loading all the bombs in there, going to launch and kill civilians. We wrote to the United Nations. We told them that what is happening here is a hell. And the NGO also starts talking about the DRC government taking hostage entirely displaced people camps, where he put bombs in the camps and outside the camps, forcing the citizens to remain in the camps, take them as hostage, for them not to move, to go to their homes in the liberated area. Instead, is attacking our position and populated areas in the liberated zone, at the same time maintaining population in state of hostage. And this was said all along, and that's why the town of Goma have to be liberated. We started defending ourselves against the DRC government since November 2021. Since then, we never reached the town of Goma. We're next to Goma. For a long time, we're next to Goma. We're already asking for DRC government to come on the table to discuss this problem, to stop this war, because this problem is actually political problem, not a military. But the DRC government chose a war-mongering plan, when to get South Africa or the countries of SADC to put forces to come to suppress the civilians that are crying for help. So that's why the town of Goma had to be liberated. And, we are in a situation we are in today of freedom. The peace has returned. People are going to work. The kids are going to school. The town again will clean the town. The NGOs are working. The social movement are carry on the social movement. They're always doing organization with the plan. So the town is living now. We have food product, agricultural products that are in the liberated town. They're all coming now to the town of Goma. The price start going down. People are start living again. We put the police on the street, and the security is there. People are going to their daily lives without any worries. We actually continue to ensure the freedom of movement and the goods 24/7. So the town of Goma is living now. If there was problem here, I think many NGOs that are here would have already raised the voice.
I mean, there's an announcement which SADC has published yesterday about the withdrawal of the SADC forces. But can you explain? And they are saying that this withdrawal will be in stages. But from where we are standing, we don't know what is the relationship between M23 and specifically the South African soldiers that are still in Goma and their camp. Could you just break that down for us? What is the relationship? Are the South African soldiers and the rest of the other soldiers living in a situation of, say, prisoners of war along the Geneva Convention standards? What is the situation, and what is the attitude of M23?
Let's put it this way. Without going to Convention of Geneva, Convention of whatever, and I'll just tell you, we are Africans, first of all. South African are our brothers. Our brothers, they were misled the same way many people were misled against the ANC in South Africa when they were fighting to free South Africa, to have the country that they have today. His Excellency, peace be upon Nelson Mandela and the others that who fought for South Africa, they were also betrayed by some South Africans. that is no problem. For us, South Africans, our brothers, they were implementing a mission sent to them by the leaders. As army, they have to obey and go to fulfill the mission. But when they found the mission was not what was supposed to be, they gave the report back home that these are no Rwandese, these are Congolese, that they're fighting for the freedom, like we're always fighting the freedom back home, or our ancestors did. So we don't have no problem with South Africa. They are our brothers. Anytime they want to leave, they can leave home.
What is the vision of M23 in relation to peace and stability? Will you be now opening negotiations with the government? And if you will, has the government responded positively to negotiations? That's the first part. Secondly, how do we envisage when you arrive at the table, what will be your concrete, practical sort of demands to the DRC government so that war can forever be ended?
First of all, sure, you follow much what we say at M23. We always call for this dialogue. From the beginning, since Sabino, where we were, to Bunagana, and today Goma and Bukavu, we always call for dialogue. Because, as I said, this problem is a political problem. It should have a political solution, not a military. We are ready to sit on the table because we have been calling this to have a direct talk with the DRC government to address the root causes of the conflict.
But has the government agreed to a negotiation? Is Tshisekedi agreed to have a dialogue?
We hope this time he will agree, because he said he would never, ever, as long as president of the DRC, sit opposite or have his delegation sit opposite the M23.
So he has refused
the matters of this country. He has refused. He won war. He is getting now the army of Chad and other countries to come to support him again on this warmongering plan, while South African and SADC are pulling out. Is getting Burundi to support him in this murderous program. He has refused. And even yesterday, we released a communique. Yesterday, praising the President Angolan President João Lourenço for the initiative of having a direct talk with the DRC government to actually address the root causes of the conflict and have the peace in DRC. We requested that the DRC government to come out openly and accept as well, acknowledge this offer from the Angola. Then we can start talking and resolve this problem and have peace in our country.
But what is your reaction to the SADC's decision to withdraw the SADC armies?
We thank God. We thank God the same way South African praise God every single day on the national anthem, Kozi Chindulela, South Africa. We here, we praise God that finally our brothers are seeing the light, and they were misleading them to come to kill and put themselves in the same program that their ancestors or grandfathers fought against apartheid.
That was our conversation with the spokesperson of M23 down in the Eastern DRC, Mr. Lawrence Kanyuka. We're going to take the headlines now with Nhlanhla Sihume. Stay tuned here with us on Power Talk. Thank you.
Thanks, Doc. In stories making headlines, President Cyril Ramaphosa's remarks at the South Africa European Union Summit on the phased withdrawal of the Southern African Development Community troops from the DRC has marked a significant turning point for South Africa, but also its neighbors. SADC chairperson and Zimbabwe's president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, announced this decision after a virtual summit on the ongoing conflict in the eastern DRC, where more than 3 decades of unrest have claimed millions of lives. This decision to withdraw troops after a year-long deployment was anticipated, but also carries profound implications for regional stability, diplomatic relations in the region, but also the DRC's future. Ramaphosa's comments signal that this shift is not just the end of a military intervention.
And our summit reaffirmed that position, and the decision to finally withdraw from the Eastern DRC by the 3 troop contributing countries is also based on the fact that the ceasefire that we have sought to install in that place is now being embraced, and we are going to see a ceasefire eventuating.
A fake alcohol manufacturing plant, this time in Western area, operating for over 10 months, has been uncovered after employees reported unfair labor practices and exploitation. The workers, subjected to low wages, long working hours and unsafe working conditions, tipped off the police, leading to an investigation that revealed an illegal operation worth about R1 million. South Africa loses billions in tax revenue due to the illicit alcohol trade. Law enforcement will also continue monitoring suspicious activities in Gauteng as well. In an interview with the Power Breakfast, Dr Vinesh Rameshsar, who's the head of research at the Drinks Foundation SA, highlights the growing crisis of illicit and counterfeit alcohol.
So counterfeit alcohol is extremely dangerous, purely because we don't know what it is putting into the mixtures. Now, it could be methanol. It could also be other clear liquids such as acetone. In really poor counterfeit areas, they're using stuff like battery acid, and therefore you're finding lead and arsenic in these mixtures as well. Yeah. So it is quite dangerous. Yeah. The other type is the home brew, and this is the third type of illicit alcohol, and that is where people are making their own concoctions.
And moving to this developing story in Soweto, the Nansfield Dube Taxi Association resumed operations this morning after a 4-day self-imposed suspension. This suspension follows ongoing clashes between the Nandue drivers as well as the Witwatersrand African Taxi Association over disputed routes. More details to follow in the news at 10 with Tsepi Musia.
Power traffic.
A very good morning to you. Let's check out what's happening in your roads at the moment. If you're traveling on Winnie Mandela Drive southbound, minor delays can be expected in 4 ways as you're traveling between Monte Casino Boulevard and Leslie Avenue. Douglas Drive southbound is also experiencing some delays approaching at that Leslie Avenue intersection. If you are getting out of Cosmo City, you can expect some slow-moving traffic between Tennessee Avenue and the River Road intersection that's in Kaya Sand. If you are traveling on the R59 that's in Alberton, the traffic is very slow. That's on the link to the N12 westbound at the Reading interchange. Traffic lights in Craighall are out at Buckingham and Jan Smuts Avenue. Those traffic lights also out further down Jan Smuts Avenue as you get to Dunkeld West at the Bompas Road intersection. They're out in Northworld at Bel Airs and Malibongwe Drive in Bramley at Corlett and Louis Botha Avenue. If you're traveling on Cedar Road in the Fourways area, those lights are out at the Uranium Street intersection. And remember, if you come across any further traffic incidents, tweet at Power987Traffic. For Power Traffic, I'm Lebogang Phukela.
Power traffic.
My friend always says, not my problem, bro. But what if it was your sister, your mother, your daughter? Gender-based violence is everyone's problem. And good men don't look away. If you see abuse, don't be silent. Report it. Call the SA Police on 10111 or the GBVF Command Center on 0800 428 428. Strong men protect. Strong women stand up. Together, we can end gender-based violence and femicide. Break the vicious cycle. Act now. A message from Government Communications, the GCIS.
Mzansi, it's raining jackpots this March. A storm of cash is coming your way with 53 million rand in total guaranteed Powerball and Daily Lotto jackpots this Friday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 52 million rand and Daily Lotto for a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, where your voice is heard and opinion matters.
We're taking your calls 0861987000 here on Power Talk. The pre-recorded interview there with the spokesperson of M23, and you would have heard that the SADC SADC has taken a decision to withdraw its mission in the Eastern DRC. And the M23 spokesperson there indicating that the president of the DRC, Tshisekedi, is making plans to replace this mission of SADC with other troops from the surrounding countries. He mentioned Burundi. And we remember as well that there was intimation to the United States that it comes as well, deploy its military to the DRC in exchange for minerals. So what are your thoughts? And maybe not strictly on this matter, but the rest of the other issues facing our country. I'm going to take calls indeed. 0861987000, WhatsApp line 0833037093. Join the conversation on social media using the hashtag PowerTalk. And I'm going to go to Nare. Welcome to Power Talk.
Hi, Morena Ndlozi, how's it?
I'm fine, brother. How are you?
I'm fine. You had this interview as if this morning, because I was thinking about the same thing, that to comment on this problem that is happening there in Eastern DRC. You see, the root of the problem there is the Congolese people and people from Burundi and Uganda. They hate Kagame so much, you understand? So in the sense that they dismiss the people of that region's lived experience. You know, you had that interview with that lady the other day that she spoke about exactly what is happening. But the people there, they blame, their focus is on Kagame. They say he is the one actually who is causing a war. And as well, I remember as well seeing some stuff on social media there. One guy was getting beaten up, you know, by people there in Congo because he speaks Kinyarwanda. They were saying he's not, Rwandan. So the whole idea, myself, I think it's the focus. The focus is on Kagame, and they dismiss those people's lived experience. And that's what Tshisekedi as well did when he took power. He said he wants to continue with the war. So I think the problem is there. We understand. They should never, focus on Kagame. They should understand. And that man, when he spoke there, I thought he would be having a lunatic. But I hear a man that speaks with a sound mind. You understand? He's got even a sound mind than Tshisekedi.
That's not there. You can find the full interview because we did actually pose the question of Rwanda's involvement or support of the M23. The full interview is on the Power website, on the podcast. You can find it and hear what he has to say in relation to that. Mudipa from Pretoria, welcome to Power Talk.
Thanks, man. Good morning to all of you.
Morning.
Yes, Mr. Ndlozi, I support M23. You know, sometimes I'm being controversial, like to support these things. I compare countries like South Africa and the DRC. So now, can you see that when people are disgruntled, you see what's happening? Always, it breeds the M23. Equally so like us in South Africa. Many people who are disgruntled by how the ANC ran this country, and then that is the thing you're going to see in the end. things will be happening like this. Provinces will be taken by others, and so on and so on and so on. You see. So now, what M23 they are doing there, they are doing a very, very, very good job. And let's hope that if Tshisekedi doesn't even agree to go to the table with them, there is no way he's going to rest. And these problems, they don't start now. They started with Mobutu Sese Seko, Laurent Kabila, Joseph Kabila, and others. I don't want to take time. Thanks.
Thanks very much indeed. Peggy from Rockville, welcome to Power Talk. Peggy.
Hello, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Welcome to Power Talk.
Great. Sorry. No, I wanted to talk about this issue of the ANC, man. You see, I feel the ANC has mastered the art of manipulating black people. Because what they do is, we are now complaining about the VAT, and we say we don't want the VAT increase. But I don't know if he comes out and says, no, black people are not poor because of increasing VAT, but they are poor because they don't have land. The ANC has been asked to give us land, and they don't want to. They don't want to give black people land because they use these things as a tactic to keep us subdued. When we talk about land, they'll find an excuse not to give land. They'll tell you, no, we can't do that because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When they want to turn us against white people, they'll tell us about the land because now they're using the VAT issue, and they see that everybody's siding, or people are siding with the DA in a way to say, no, we don't want the VAT. So they are turning us against white people to say, no, you have to increase, you are poor because of the white people don't want to give you land, turning us against the white person. And it's this thing of the ANC of, I don't understand why they think they can manipulate black people and play around, because if they wanted to give us land, they would have done that a long time ago. They had a chance when the EFF said, no, let's combine our votes and take the land without compensation. They don't want to. So now they're using it as a way to try and manipulate us so that we can get out of this thing of saying we don't want the VAT. And we say, no, let's increase the VAT because there's no other way. No, we don't want the VAT increase. And no matter what they do, because I see they've got influencers on Twitter and trying to convince us that the VAT is a good thing. This VAT increase is not a good thing. It doesn't matter how much they can try and influence us like COVID, they did it. It's not a good thing.
Thank you, Peggy from Rockville. Makuntle from Sebokeng. Welcome to Power Talk.
Hi, how are you, Doctor?
I'm fine, brother. How are you?
I'm all right, man. On a lighter note, happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yes, Chibo Church was there on the very first day of the show. And then you even asked him to pray on the show. He gave us a good prayer. So, hey, Dr. Man, let me put you on the spot and say, hey, ever since we've welcomed you on Power Talk, you've never actually sang for us, and we know that you are a very, very good singer.
You want me to sing?
When I'm kaya waka man, I go vale gita ma hot money man, I hot money get also man. Keep up one so ugo tshwareka so I get the name someone before show you fella on a Friday. Hey, ke ru ko rubinela since you welcome go Power Talk why.
I think the producers set you up on this one.
No, not easy.
Okay, we'll see about that. We'll see about that, Maguntle requesting a song there. Let's take Hamlet from Pretoria. If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're taking your calls on 0861 987 000. And we've got Hamlet from Pretoria. Welcome indeed. And what's on your mind?
No, well, I think I welcome the decision by the SADC to withdraw from the DRC. And I think the president of the DRC is really very, 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 he's a warmonger. And I think that you cannot say that the Balenga people, who are the indigenous people of the DRC, because of the borderlines, and they happen to be speaking Tutsi, similarities with the people of Rwanda. And you say, these are not the people of Rwanda. And these people have been really, marginalized to the fringes without, social infrastructure, without medical care. The state budget does not even reach there. And I remember Thabo Mbeki saying that you cannot deal with the DRC conflict issues when you don't deal you can't discuss this issue in the absence of M23. And I think the picture is quite clear. that what was our role as South African SADC. So SADC as a collective, they failed, the Balanga people because of, they took a position that says that there's an agitation from the M23. They are warmongers. They are people who seek to destabilize and divide the country, which essentially that is not the truth. The truth is that they are not recognized as the DRC people. These are people who are now stateless, essentially. And they're fighting for that recognition to say that we're indigenous people of the DRC. We too need to benefit from the resources of the state. Program of government must also reach us. And I think, SADC, it's about time that the president of DRC must be called in, by the very same SADC leaders and really mediate, what could be, a transition in really integrating the Balanga people into the DRC. And I think you had a great interview. It now paints a picture to most of us who wondered what was actually going on there. Now that we know, and thank you for that interview. Very, 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 very insightful one.
Thank you, Hamlet. If you've just joined us once more, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and we're taking your calls. Debora from Mokopane, welcome to Power Talk, buddy.
Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for the platform. I'm a regular caller now, but I have a few things to say about the situation of DRC.
Mm-hmm.
I felt firstly that, my perspective is that, I'm critical of both sides. When I think of, and I'll use this analogy to explain, the situation where Shaka Zulu was murdered, and he told these guys who killed him, his half-brothers and all of those who went on to continue, that you'll never rule over this land. And for me, that draws similarities to Patrice Lumumba. After he was killed, there's been no stability in Congo. What you heard is there are two people who were assassinated, himself as well as Kabila, Desiré Kabila. But there are other dictators, Mobutu as well as Joseph Kabila, people who ruled for 19 years and 32 years, and they dominated over that area. So that is a critique I provide for the Congolese government and say, yes, I think these guys have had Western-backed governments that have been run improperly. But I also have a side that looks at the situation in Congo. Doc, if we go to the situation, Rwanda and its president were involved in the removal of Idi Amin in Uganda. They were involved in the government of Rwanda to install Kagame at some point. And he was backed by the Americans when he did that. He then did the first Congo War, where he goes into Congo and he removes Mobutu. And he attempted again in the second Congo War. So for me, there's this repetitive act of the Rwandan government and president being involved in the affairs of removing and toppling governments. And it seems to be just another replay of this thing. And he's backed by Americans as well, so he's not innocent. There are also accusations of Rwanda being involved in the exporting of minerals, which they don't have in their own territory. How do we explain those things? I'm also critical of the fact that the president of Rwanda, it's like an open secret that those guys are backing M23, but no one owns up to it. So it's also difficult when these are the sorts of secrecy and things that are happening. Lastly, the president of Rwanda is also mainly accused of being a dictator who persecutes his opposition. He, always comes again with these 90% above election results, and he also comes with what you call the situation of his purging of oppositions. Our relationship as South Africa soured with him when we saw that he was purging one of the oppositions that came to seek refuge in South Africa. So there are also multiple critiques, and I think South Africa has also not been honest in their involvement in this war because their interest there. And we've lost wars in these things, and I don't think it was a good time. Especially considering the financial and fiscal issues that South Africa was facing with. All right.
Thanks very much, Tebo. There, trying to balance the perspective. If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're going to take John in Johannesburg. Welcome to Power Talk, John.
Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate this opportunity. I don't know how much time I have because
2 minutes.
I want to know what 2 minutes. All right.
Sir.
So quickly in 2 minutes, I'd like to first say the M23 spokesperson, when he was speaking, was not accurate, saying that President Tshisekedi does not want to speak with them because not late as February 21st, this year, 2025, the resolution, the UN resolution 2773. In one of the points there is the process of Nairobi. The process of Nairobi includes the M23 peace talk, with all the other armed groups in DRC. And this was started, I think, in 2021, when the M23 stepped out of the table. So coming and accusing the President Tshisekedi that he doesn't want to talk with them, it's a false accusation. And quickly, when they say, I heard one intervener here saying that the Tutsi are not organized in Congo and stuff like that. But the general who is in charge of they call it zone de sécurité, troisième région militaire, something like that. So that zone includes where the war is right now. The general that is in charge of that is called Pacifique Masunzu. He's a Munyamulenge. He's from a Rwandese background. The minister of public service, not public service, but public infrastructure in DRC, is a Munyamulenge. So the problem is not that Tutsis are recognized. M23 has got their own agenda that they don't reveal to the public. And just to close this, because you gave me 2 minutes, the problem with the M23, if you want to understand it very well, I recommend the interview that General Kayumba did on Newsroom Africa recently. Then you will understand where all these things came from. So accusing the President Tshisekedi being a warmonger and all those kind of things, that's absolutely wrong. That's what submission I wanted to make.
Thanks very much, John. I think we can all agree, whatever the circumstances, the guns have to be put down. The problem of the Eastern DRC must not be resolved through a war. And if M23 is willing to come back to the table for the stability of that part of the world, including fixing relations between the two presidents, Tshisekedi and Kagame, they've got to go into the This is at least the consensus all of us as Africans must be able to agree on and advocate very strongly, whatever the circumstances. Let's silence the guns amongst Africans. We're going to take Petani from Venda. Ndaunduna. Abu de bovwani.
Hi, Rovuwa, Namatsad. Yes, I'm back again on this M23.
Petani has disappeared there. Angus from Pretoria, welcome to Power Talk.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Angus. How do you do? Welcome to Power Talk.
I'm okay, Doctor. I'm just calling you because of I see we are so frustrated in a manner that we want to know the truth of what is going on.
Your line is not very clear, Angus. I don't know whether you must increase the volume. It's not clear. We are not hearing you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but it's not clear. No.
Actually, I stopped my car. I was listening to your interview, and now I'm just trying to.
There you are. What's on your mind? Yes, clear. What's on your mind?
Dr. Ndlozi, we are still far away from the truth. We must not shy away of what is happening in the Eastern DRC. First of all, the interview, for me, I think it was null and void. Why am I saying this? How can you attack immediately saying there's peace in Goma? It do not take 3 days to make peace. It takes years to build and modify and convince your people that, yes, there is peace in Goma. In this fashion, the M23, it's a matter of fighting to be in power than fighting to be in control of the government. Why am I saying this? It's because of there's a huge difference between a person who's fighting to be in power, to misuse the power, or to gain power for his own interest. There are a lot of things that are happening in the Eastern DRC. The unfortunate part of it is that we are not getting the information as we are supposed to as South Africans. When we're saying people are killed, who are those people? Because of, you look at the rules of engagement, you cannot just take a gun and fire to the civilians just like that. Who are those people? When he said We talked, and then we went to the mountain. Which mountain? Why are they using this side of Rwanda and Uganda? They don't use any other side.
Because that's what they're close to, though, Agus. The problem of the borders, which he explained, that were drawn by the colonizers, divided a single people. And President Mbeki puts it like, for you to understand, if we were to start attacking the people of Botswana, of the Northwest, if we're not servicing them, and then they armed themselves, if you push them, you would push them towards Botswana. They couldn't go to Zimbabwe. They are not on that side. So it's just a geographic fact.
I'm not going to dispute the geographical effect, but it's a matter of where the support comes from.
Let me ask you directly. If we started to mistreat the people of Botswana, is it wrong if the Botswana government of the Northwest, if we started to mistreat the people of the Northwest, why would it be wrong for the Botswana government to support them? We got support, the ANC, the PAC, from other governments in the world. What's wrong with that?
Dr. Ndlozi, you are living in this world. When you are not satisfied of the government, you wait until you get an opportunity to replace that government through the ballot. So why didn't they do that all along? Where were they when there were elections? These are the areas that are noted where the IEC, foreign case in South Africa, the IEC or Electoral Committee of the DRC cannot have an access to. And now, when it comes out as if, no, the government don't want to do this and that for us. But when you look at it from a distance, these are the people who are determined to just deal with the government, any government that is coming to be in power in DRC. Look at what happened to Lawrence Kabila. Why was Lawrence Kabila inaugurated in Katanga but not Kinshasa? Then why, if they are saying they want to bring peace, why after taking Goma automatically they appoint their own governor of Goma? We're not supposed to wait until the negotiations are finished and then they say, we will take this position like the GNU or whatever, we will take this position and we'll put this person here. Automatically they take Goma, then they appoint.
Okay.
We need to look at that in a factual way, that there's a difference between a person who's fighting for power and the person who's fighting to bring a change in the government. That is my comment. And
thank you. We've got to go to the news. Thank you very much. And that's his view there. I think we can continue this debate. I certainly think he's missing a few concrete experiences in that part of the region. But we'll see if we can't pick it up another day, the situation in the DRC, maybe with the Department of International Relations and the South African Army in the studio, so that we can tease our interests, tease out the interests of Rwanda. We'll also try and go have an interview with President Paul Kagame. Let's take the news with Tshepiso Musia.
Power News.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. Your top stories at this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa's remarks at the SA-EU summit on the phased withdrawal of SADC troops from the DRC marks a significant turning point for the country, its neighbors and the international community. And a body has been recovered in Pinetown as KwaZulu-Natal battles floods with emergency teams on standby amid heavy rainfall. Good morning. For the news at 10, I am Tshepiso Musia. President Cyril Ramaphosa's remarks at the South Africa-European Union summit on the phased withdrawal of the Southern African Development Community troops from the Democratic Republic of Congo marks a significant turning point for South Africa, its neighbors, and the international community. Ramaphosa welcomed the decision and emphasized that a ceasefire and negotiations are crucial for achieving lasting peace in the DRC. SADC chairperson and Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa announced the decision after a virtual summit on the ongoing conflict in the region, where more than 3 decades of unrest have claimed millions of lives. Now, the decision to withdraw troops after a year-long deployment was anticipated but carries profound implications for regional stability, diplomatic relations, and the DRC's future. The mission was launched to stabilize the DRC amid ongoing conflict, particularly with rebel groups like M23. Now, despite the extension back in 2024, the heavy losses, including over a dozen soldiers killed, underscored the challenges faced by peacekeepers. Ramaphosa's comments signal that this shift is not just the end of a military intervention, but a critical moment in reassessing the region's security strategy.
And our summit reaffirmed that position, and the decision to finally withdraw from the Eastern DRC by the 3 troop contributing countries is also based on the fact that the ceasefire that we have sought to install in that place is now being embraced, and we are going to see a ceasefire eventuating.
Onto this now. A woman's body was recovered in Pinetown in eThekwini this morning after being swept away in her car during heavy rainfall in KwaZulu-Natal. Now, emergency services reported that rescue attempts were unsuccessful due to the strong current. The South African Weather Service has issued a level 6 warning for severe rainfall in the province. This comes a month after severe flooding in the province claimed at least 22 lives and caused significant damage. Some roads remain closed and disaster teams continue cleanup efforts with trees and debris blocking streets. Meanwhile, the Provincial Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs says that emergency teams have been placed on standby to respond to any disruptions or damage caused by the extreme weather. COCTA's spokesperson has urged residents to exercise caution as large parts of the province will be affected.
Well, according to the warning, the level 6 warning, areas that are along the coast of the province, here we're talking about the Ugu district, the eThekwini metro, parts of the Ilembe and King Kgotshwayo district. We also have the remaining parts of the province in the interior that are also expecting heavy rains, although to a lesser degree, but we are being cautious, hence all the disaster management teams have been placed on high alert across the province. What we're concerned about, though, is areas that are low-lying, and also we are concerned about motorists and pedestrians who might try to cross flooded walkways, bridges, and rivers.
Onto this now. A fake alcohol manufacturing plant in Western area operating for over 10 months was uncovered after employees reported unfair labor practices and exploitation. Now, the workers, subjected to low wages, long hours and unsafe conditions, tipped off police, leading to an investigation that revealed an illegal operation worth about R1 million. This bust follows another operation last week where police seized R10 million worth of drugs and arrested 2 suspects. South Africa loses billions in tax revenue due to the illicit alcohol trade. In an interview this morning with Power Breakfast, Dr Vinesh Ramisa, who's the head of research at the Drinks Foundation South Africa, highlighted the growing crisis of illicit and counterfeit alcohol.
So counterfeit alcohol is extremely dangerous purely because we don't know what guys are putting into the mixtures. Now, it could be methanol. It could also be other clear liquids such as acetone. In really poor counterfeit areas, they're using stuff like battery acid, and therefore you're finding lead and arsenic in these mixtures as well. Yeah. So it is quite dangerous. Yep. The other type is the home brew, and this is the third type of illicit alcohol, and that is where people are making their own concoctions.
Taking a look at your financial indicators for this hour, the rand is trading at 18.24 to the US dollar. It's at 23.59 to the pound sterling and 19.77 to the euro. Onto the commodities now. Gold is trading at $2,984.71 an ounce, and the price of Brent crude oil is at $70.56 a barrel. Recapping the top story in Power News at this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa's remarks at the SA-EU summit on the phased withdrawal of SADC troops from the DRC marks a significant turning point for the country, its neighbours and the international community.
In power traffic, if you're traveling on the N3 northbound, traffic is still very slow as you are traveling through the Galulis interchange. Joining at the N12 eastbound, you will bump into those delays as you are traveling past the Van Buren Road exit. In Crown City, Main Reef Road is slow in both directions between the Langlaagte License Department and the Park Drive intersection. On Malibongwe Drive eastbound, some congestion can be expected in Stratham Park between the N1 and the Oxford Street intersection.
Power News. On FM, online, and DSTV channel 889. This is Power 98.7.
This is Power 98.7. And now you're listening to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. 9 a.m. to midday. Taking your calls on 0861 987 000.
Welcome back to Power Talk. We're going to be speaking about gaming in South Africa. Very important subject that is often undermined. Gaming, we're talking about AMA games, Street Fighter, Pac-Man, Mortal Kombat. If you had a cell phone in the beginning of the introduction of mobile cell phones, you would have remembered that there was Tetris, there was Snake, and this gaming industry has grown. And not only are the people who design games make money, but actually we are beginning to see the phenomena of professional gamers, meaning people who make a living out of playing games, FIFA, and so on and so forth. If you've got children, you know all these things. But there are people, adults, full-on adults with children, who wake up in the morning, go to game as a profession. We've got some of these people in studio. But let me break the numbers down for you. South Africa's gaming industry is about 7.3 billion rands. The country's gaming industry is expected to grow, as I indicated, and 47% of these gamers are between the ages of 18 and 28. Another interesting fact is that there's actually a lot of game people and gaming. About 26.5 million of our people, 26.5 million people in South Africa play games. And 85% of which are mobile gamers and 15% on console and PC games. If you want to join this conversation, you can call in on 0861 987 000. We've got an e-sport athlete who's joining us online, Busisiwe Steenkamp, and the founder of Idiot's Guide to Gaming, Super Dave, who is a professional gamer, is here with us on studio. How do you do, Super Dave?
I'm well, thanks. And yourself?
And tech and business writer on the Business Day, Mudiwa Kavaza.
Yes.
How do you do?
Alive, good, well, and thriving.
And Gosi Busisiwe, welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today?
Well, good, thank you. Thank you. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Busi. Let's start with you, Mudiwa. Can you paint this world properly in the country for us? What does this gaming industry look like?
So, if we zoom out, globally, you're looking at roughly 185 to 200 billion dollar market. If we translate that into rand terms, give or take 3.5 trillion rand. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how big this market is globally. Mm-hmm. In South Africa, you had the number that you mentioned, but the projections are that we're going to reach about 30 billion in South Africa, which is 1.4 billion dollars, locally in South Africa by the end of 2025. That's the picture. And then on the African continent, you're looking at 1.8. so $1.8 billion. So what that shows you is that globally, this is a huge market because, as I said, 200 billion. But Africa has less than 1% of that market. And in that 1%, South Africa makes up the largest portion of that. About, depending on the estimates, about 50 or 60% of that market, of that money that's flowing through that African ecosystem is actually in South Africa. So South Africa becomes, the biggest market for gaming on the African continent.
What are these games? Is it just, I know there's a big gaming space in some of these malls, Sandton, Rosebank, but break it down for us practically.
So there's a number of different vectors and a number of different ways in which people are gaming. There's mobile gaming, there's console gaming, there's PC gaming.
What is console gaming?
So console gaming, think Xbox, think PlayStation, think Nintendo, those type of things.
How is that not online? How is that not online?
No, what we're talking about is you almost have a tie-in between the game and the device that you're playing on, right? Nowadays there's the lines are being blurred a little bit by what's called cloud gaming, because cloud gaming has it hasn't completely taken out the console itself and the game and what platform you're using, but it's allowed broader access to something like that. But and then the other one that I'll just throw in there is obviously mobile. In Africa, the biggest way in which people are interacting from a computing point of view and internet access point of view is through smartphones. So obviously your biggest way in which people are accessing games is online and on their mobile device.
So you've got from the market, I want to make sense of it. You've got game designers.
Yeah.
How's that in South Africa?
To my understanding, there are a couple of gaming studios in the country, and there are a couple of publishers locally, but it's, I think, nascent is the word that I'm going to use.
What word?
Nascent. And I say nascent just compared to the rest of the world, right? When you compare what's happening, locally, and then
nascent means it's minute,
it's small,
it's little,
it's
almost
small.
Insignificant.
I don't want to call it insignificant because I think there's been a lot of gains in the local market, particularly in South Africa. Right?
That guy of Elon Musk, I think this is that what put him on the spot from here to go to the US? I think he wrote a game.
I think so.
Yeah.
No, it's PayPal that put him on the spot. Because he was part of the guys that created PayPal. But the
first money he made was from a game.
The first good money he's made was PayPal. That catapulted him into being the tech billionaire that is. Touching on his point about...
I'm coming to you.
No, I just want to answer the studio part. Actually, funny, he says it's quite small, but the small little studio we had made some of the biggest impact in the world of gaming. There's a group of guys in Cape Town, they call themselves Free Lives. They published a game called Broforce. So what happened with Broforce, they published the game, then PlayStation picked up that game and made it part of the PlayStation Indie program. And what that did, they put the PlayStation marketing budget behind that game, and they marketed that game worldwide. So it's one of the biggest indie games on the PlayStation portal. And when what Broforce went on to do, now Broforce is part of Xbox Game Pass. You can find it for free on Xbox Game Pass. So they've managed to publish quite a number of games. After they published Broforce, they went on to do a game called Stasis that launched on PC on Steam, and it was quite successful. And now they're currently working on a new title. They're based in Cape Town, fully fledged studio, guys that work full time and get paid to be game developers.
Got you. Just to conclude this part, so you've got designers, then you've got these people who own shops where there are lots of games. Is the part of the market?
Depending on what word we use, some people use the word cafe, some people use lounge, the gaming lounge. Yes, all of that is all part of the ecosystem. And then
you've got players.
Yes.
Where do the professionals come in on the part of the players?
They come in, it's a little bit of a hybrid because in certain instances, at least to my knowledge of the market, you've got players, but at the same time, the people that are, running some of the, shops that you're talking about, they use those as a place to, can I call it incubate, talent in certain instances, before we start talking about teams and that and those types of facilities.
I'm told there are also leagues. Maybe that's the time I come to Busi and Super Dave. Idiot's Guide to Gaming. What is that?
So the Idiot's Guide to Gaming it's my company, but it started off as a blog. So what I used to do when blogging was still a big thing in the 2010s, 11, I also came up with a blog for video games. So I used to write reviews of video games and news articles. Then what I did is that I reached out to different distributors in South Africa. So the different companies that sell games in South Africa, Prima Interactive. At the time, there was a company called Megarom, Stay Chemical when they still had their gaming wing. And through that, they'd send me the games. I'd write the review and put it on the blog. Then that from a blog to a company to a gaming channel, a YouTube channel. So the full 360. So that's how that came about.
So basically, you sort of explain the gaming.
100%. Mbuyiseni Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
Supporter. You can't play it because Ken block sharp. But ukadlala another character that will be better suited for your attributes. So that's how the Idiot's Guide to Gaming started about. So only to find out that there was actually a market for that.
Is Murabaraba there in these games?
Murabaraba. Well, I would say no. It's not. It's not commercialized. I think Casper's friend Capo, they tried to come up with something where they had like indigenous games, Bomrabaraba and the Ali Top and something. Yes, that they tried to maybe like try and commercialize. But our own authentically South African games, they're not commercialized like the big games we get from Europe, China.
So what is a professional gamer?
Uvuka ekuseni udlala games, uvuka ekuseni ugeza amazinyo. Like the TV, ubambi controller uyadlala. Just like with any other form of sport.
How do you make the money? How do people bet on you?
So there's various ways on which you can make the money, and I think Busisi will elaborate further on this point. But you can either go independently or you can sign with a team. She's currently with Goliath Gaming, and what Goliath Gaming is a multi-gaming organization. So under their organization, just like the Idiot's Guide to Gaming is a company, Goliath Gaming is a company. Then they sign players and say to players, okay, Rotobanali uniform, check out Kita Pirates. Then we go and compete at different events. So usually the big events in South Africa take place during the big gaming festivals, Comic-Con and Rage, and in between there's various tournaments, small tournaments that take place. The guys at Goliath Gaming are quite brilliant at that. They also own their own tournaments. So they work with a big fast food brand. And they host tournaments for guys that are trying to get into the scene, and maybe they give away 5,000 rand and a console.
What game are you good at?
I'm really good at most games because I review a wide variety of games. So you find that there are guys that are really great at FIFA. There are guys that are really great at racing games.
So if you are really great at FIFA, let just some township child or a father is listening, or a mother.
Sure.
And they see their child, so they are good at FIFA. To make the money, to make the living out of that, what do they do?
Okay, let me not sell you false hope and say you'll make a great living out of it. This is South Africa.
How much living do you make? I mean, some people live on 350.
Yeah, and that is fair, and also depends where you're based. But let me paint it to you like this. If your son or daughter are good at FIFA, maybe start tapping into the companies that host tournaments. Maybe search for the likes of Goliath Gaming. Maybe go on the Metal State
and how much would they make?
Website. Maybe go on the African Gaming League website and see what tournaments they have. The biggest I've seen someone walk away with, there was a prize pool of just over R1 million, and the winner maybe took home close to 400,000 rand. But that's when the tournaments were still new and corporate companies were pumping a lot of money into these tournaments. And I think Busisi can elaborate further.
Busi, what is an e-sport athlete?
So basically, just to sum it up, esports is electronic sports. So basically, what a professional esports player is a person that competes competitively in his gaming aspects. As mentioned before, we've got the likes of people competing in tournaments that have PCs and consoles as well as mobile. I specialize in console, more specifically PS5.
Busi?
Yes, hello?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we lost you a bit there, but continue. I think you're back.
Oh, sorry, my bad. So as I was explaining before, esports athlete is generally a person that competes competitively in these sporting events. We compete in PC, console, as well as mobile, but I specialize in console, PS5 to be precise.
So you were signed by some company?
That's correct, yes. So
How did they know? How did they come to know of you?
So basically what happened is it takes a bunch of people to come up with initiatives to try and scout out the next talent. So Sam Tech Go, right, she was hosting a tournament, an EAFC tournament, just to try and find the latest talent. I happened to be there on the day. They ran a bit of a tournament, and I won the tournament. At the end of it all, I was, at the time, actually placed to verse the best in South Africa at the time, which was Julio Bianchi, and Goliath Gaming happened to be there. After that, I think I lost 3-0, but it wasn't bad at the time. I mean, I'm versing a pro. He was the best in Africa as well. So they contacted me a couple of months later, and ever since then, I've been with them.
So you are, in a sense, you're a professional gamer.
That's correct. Yeah.
I see. And so are you comfortable to tell us what are the numbers that you make? Just for the listeners, to have a sense that this is a big deal. This is an important, life. This is an important career.
So I won't specifically say how much I make, but as mentioned previously by Dave, we did have a fellow gamer that won 400,000 Rand in the VS gaming. That was in around, I think, 2022. So that is the amount of money that you're looking at making. But it also depends on which competition that you enter. So now VS Gaming prize pool for first place is 100,000, as well as the competition ran by Mamelodi Sundowns as well is 100,000 Rand. And then you get your international competitions, your EAFC Pro. So you'd have to qualify in order to play there. But I know that players can walk away with around 150,000 just for taking part.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
It is. And then the price pool increases further along and make it into a competition.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We are speaking about gaming, and we've got with us professional gamers, Super Dave. So Super Dave is your gaming name.
Super Dave is my gaming name. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You don't want to say the numbers you make maybe annually, even if it's just...
when it comes to maybe to myself, then you're just relying basically like on the sponsorship work. Unlike I'm not competing with the guys at tournaments, so you're relying on doing brand collabs. Maybe endorse a Vaseline or endorse a new product or a new laptop, and you make money through that. The social media hustle, where you send your profile to different agencies and find out who's the head of marketing at a certain company and try to do collabs with them. Maybe sometimes it might not be hard cash. It might be maybe you need a new laptop and they don't have money to pay you, but they can give you this laptop and it's yours to keep. But just if you make content for them for the next 3 months, and so it's you're looking at doing it like that. Hence, I told you earlier that I wouldn't say take your son and say, "Kidzing, you're gonna play FIFA for the rest of your life, and this is what is gonna pay the bills." No, but you can use the money that you make from all of that to add on to your lifestyle. Yeah.
Okay. Mudiwa, what is the racial breakdown of this world in South Africa?
Interesting one. And I say interesting one because I don't have a firm data point on that particular aspect. What I can talk to is access, right? Because when you look at gaming, those are some of a couple of three big things come up when it comes to, access to gaming. First one is the internet and internet connections that people have, right? If you're going to be a professional gamer of any kind, you need a decent internet connection to be able to play, those games online. And if we are living with socioeconomic realities where people still find the cost of internet high, right? Then firstly, you've got that as an access issue. Secondly is the speeds, because you need these very firm speeds that don't change, because you need high refresh rates, you need high frame rates, you need all of this stuff, a very strong internet connection. The other one is the devices, right? Because by the time devices arrive in South Africa, they've got taxes on them and all of this. So the cost of a console in the United States is much less than the cost of a console in South Africa because of, those import duties and taxes. Already your earning power in South Africa is less, but then you accessing the devices is coming in at a higher price. So there's those issues that you have to, rub up against. Yeah. And then I think just the last one, on that, you could make inferences when it comes to devices and internet access. You could make inferences around who actually is able to play professionally, because a lot of the big, you were asking about money earlier on, right? A lot of
you still haven't given an estimation of the racial.
Yes, and that's why I said we can make an inference about the fact that if you're coming from a disadvantaged background, this is not an area that you're doing that well in because of the factors that
I'm raising these because when we come back from the news, I want to speak about how this gaming industry can be opened up with those problems outlined, Busi and Dave. How do we promote gaming nonetheless in the conditions of Soweto, Mamelodi, Mkandule, Venda, and so on and so forth? Because once you identify that problem, that it's mostly in opulent suburban areas, it's mostly white, it's mostly men, then we have to say, what happens to break those barriers that are of race, that are of money? Because to be good at a game, I'm thinking here there were so much excellent players of these games that we've just spoken of, Street Fighter, and maybe some of the big scores, some of the best scores, Mortal Kombat, FIFA, are in the townships, but because they are not online, they are unable to compete and maybe change their living conditions through that skill. So we're going to come back, and I want you guys to think about that. Let's take the headlines at 10:30 with Tshepiso Musia.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. Good morning. In newsmaking headlines this hour, we start with news just in. The South African Police Service have cracked down on a card fraud syndicate at SASSA offices in Johannesburg near Bree Taxi Rank this morning. Authorities say they have made 3 arrests, including SASSA officials, in a sting operation, while 4 other suspects are being sought after. While an investigation has been ongoing since February, authorities beefed up the operations after an identified woman and man were found to have used a fraudulent SASSA card to withdraw money at a retail outlet in Soweto. Gauteng's SAPS's Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo shares more on this developing story.
Remember that in February we arrested 4 suspects in Dlamini. It was 2 females and 2 males, and one of the males is an Ethiopian national. This is after they were found withdrawing money at a ShopRite using fraudulent SASSA cards. So we continued with our investigation. Is then that we revealed that they are working with some of the employees of SASSA in this building. So we're actually looking for 7. of them that are working with the ones that we arrested in February.
And on to this now. The Mansfield-Dube West Taxi Association resumes its operations in Soweto this morning following a 4-day self-imposed suspension. Nandue drivers switched off their engines this week as the association continues to clash with the Witwatersrand African Taxi Association over identified routes. A Joburg Metro Police vehicle responding to the standoff got involved in an accident that claimed the lives of 2 pedestrians on Monday. Gauteng's MEC for Roads and Transport, Giriboni Diale Tlhabela, calls on both taxi associations to end the ongoing dispute.
Because they are not only killing themselves, they are also killing community members. We'll have to be decisive as government and perhaps maybe explore the withdrawal of the permits themselves because they don't own the roads, and that we must tell them.
I'll have more on these and other power stories for you at the top of the hour.
Power traffic.
A very good morning to you once again. If you are traveling on the R24 westbound in Bedford View, there's some slow-moving traffic to expect from the Edenvale Road exit. Those delays are just under 10 minutes approaching the Galulis interchange. You can also expect delays as you're traveling through Galulis, joining the N12 eastbound. If you're traveling on the N1 highway, just a reminder of those roadworks that are happening between Grasmere and Eldorado Park, and there's a number of road closures. Some lanes are blocked off in that area, so do approach with caution and expect some minor delays. We also have a set of roadworks that are happening in Tembisa on the R21 South, and they're happening between the Babsfontein Road exit as well as the R23 High Road off-ramp, so do approach that area with caution as well. Traffic lights are out in a number of parts of Johannesburg. If you're traveling on Corlett Drive in Bramley, they're out at Louis Botha Avenue. In Melrose, as you're traveling further down Corlett, they're out at Arthur Oaklands Road. In Emiratia at 3rd and Tana Road. If you're on Jan Smuts Avenue, that's in Craighall Park, those traffic lights are out at the Buckingham Avenue intersection. If you're on the N14 eastbound, there's some queuing traffic that you'll bump into as you're traveling past the Milders Drift. Those delays are headed towards the R114 exit in Deep Sloot. And remember, if you come across any further traffic incidents, tweet at Power987 Traffic. For Power Traffic, I'm Lebogang Phukela.
Power traffic. Gauteng, the powerhouse of South Africa. 1.6 trillion rand strong, 34% of SA's GDP. On the 3rd of April, the Gauteng Investment Conference is where big opportunities, bold ideas, and real deals converge. Business is flourishing, sectors are growing, connections are forged. Don't wait. Visit www.gic.ggda.co.za and pledge your investment.
Mzansi, it's raining jackpots this March. A storm of cash is coming your way with 53 million rand in total guaranteed Powerball and Daily Lotto jackpots this Friday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 52 million rand and Daily Lotto for a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
We can't make you a morning person.
Good morning to you, Power family. Good morning.
But we can surely make your weekend mornings. Everything you need to make your weekend mornings better.
Are you this morning? I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a fabulous week.
Power Weekend Breakfast with Siraj Mahathi. A little bit of this, that, and everything you need to start your weekend.
It's also important to differentiate between a need and a want. A luxury.
But what if I need what I want?
Saturdays 6 to 10 a.m. and Sundays 6 to 9 a.m. on Power 98.7.
We are members of the Weekend Breakfast Church, hence we don't go to other churches.
Now we're talking. Your daily dose of great and insightful conversations, preparing you for the day ahead. Power Talk on Power 98.7.
We're going to take your calls on 0861987000. We are speaking gaming, and you can join the conversation, really. I've got in studio Super Dave, who is the founder of Idiot's Guide to Gaming, Esport Athlete, Busisiwe Steenkamp, and tech and business writer on the Business Day, Mudiwa Gavaza. If you want to join, as I said, this conversation 0861987000. Busi, how do we promote gaming within the sort of township, rural areas, because people are playing games?
That's correct. So basically, in partnership with McDonald's, Goliath Gaming is actually running a campaign across the country. So we go to different McDonald's stores throughout the country. We are setting up consoles, and that's how we're promoting gaming. We've also got the games Street Fighter, as well as Tekken and EAFC, better known as FIFA. So on the 5th of April, actually, we'll be at Protea Glen. So if there's anyone that's interested in taking part, we will be there and promoting gaming within the township. We also have gaming orgs like No Focus Gaming, also based in Soweto, that's trying to promote the world of gaming within the township. So really, I think that we need to partnership with companies to make sure that we can provide these sorts of gaming experiences for people, because to be honest with you, running these competitions can get quite expensive.
Is Mudiwa, any investment on the part of the Department of Trade and Industry? I'm thinking here DTIC, I'm thinking Lotto itself, I'm thinking the NEF. Are there any investments from government into whether it's developers or the players or the businesses that are involved in games?
A lot of, to my knowledge, a lot of the government support is around small businesses and startups.
I see.
And if you're in the tech industry and your business is focusing on gaming, let's say you have a small gaming studio, that's how you're able to get that type of funding. But a concerted,
but they do fund this industry.
Yeah, they do fund it. But as I said earlier on, and I don't want to be misconstrued when I say it's small or nascent. It's simply when you put it up against the global market, right?
Yeah.
You have to place it in context of that. There is, I remember last year we did cover, a relatively big transaction or slate of investment. There's a company called Talent 10, and they earmarked $100 million, which was 1.8 billion rand at the time, and it was for three things. They were trying to create like a small ecosystem in South Africa, where they were going to have a movie called Boy Kills World, and then you also have a game that accompanies, that takes what's happening in the movie, and then they created a video game world around it, and then also a TV show. So there are people that are looking at South Africa and talent, especially tech talent in South Africa, to say the games can be made locally, and you're making the games at a cheaper rate in South Africa than you do in other parts of the world. So there is investment, locally. Interestingly enough, Naspers, in a roundabout way, actually has, Naspers is the biggest shareholder in Tencent. Tencent is the biggest gaming company in the world. So there is some exposure. I would like to see more private investment into the gaming companies, right, from venture capital and that type of thing, because the tech talent does exist here, but I guess you need to make, first, the commercials work, but secondly, that the mindset, remember where we began this conversation, where you said there are people waking up to play games. There's still a mentality where we need to make people understand that there is a career that a person can make out of gaming. And if there's a career, there's a business model. If there's a business model, there's investment that can be made. But you need to develop the ecosystem. Our professional gamer on the line spoke about how expensive it is to run like some of these tournaments and stuff like that. So anything that we can do to back all of these pieces of the ecosystem, right? And there's so many nice properties in South Africa, and the things where you have the ecosystems. I think the ecosystems are something that can be leveraged on. There's great IP in music, there's great IP in movies, all of this stuff. There's so many properties that can be turned into games that have a local flavor and, that type of thing, and could possibly be taken, to other African markets or to the world. So there's potential there, but we just need to see more investment. Activity.
Let's take calls. Tunya from Botswana in Selibe Pikwe. Welcome to Power Talk.
Good morning, Power FM team.
Good morning.
First of all, I'm very happy to be here, but I'll make this brief because 1 minute. I just wanted to say nascent is not an adjective for size, as in big or small, but it's an adjective for beginner or new into something. Gotcha. However, with regards to the topic itself, I'm very happy that these guys are creating a platform for people who we would otherwise view as bummers, because necessarily they didn't do well at school, but they can game, for them to do something with what they can do. And I like that he's talking about ecosystems, because once you start with people gaming and they're making small money out of it, and like he said, eventually South African music is featured in these games. Eventually South Africans themselves are creating games that can be exported to the rest of the world. So anytime any industry for me can be developed to include some of our society that are not necessarily included in the infrastructure as we know it now for a career is a very good thing. So big ups to the gamers and what they're doing in terms of commercializing it and bringing more people into the economic space of participating.
Thank you very much. Big up indeed. Tebogo from Garankuwa, welcome to Power Talk.
Dumelang everybody in studio. I have a quick question, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi.
Yes.
I have a son who is at just early years of teenagehood, 13, and he is into gaming online. And, as a parent, you want to do this gentle parenting and support your children's dreams, whatever it is that they're doing. But I have a security concern. You will find where he will use he's got 2 devices already. He will use other devices in the household and then location it on, because he's saying, I keep the connection in yang. I'm worried about the safety features because the headphones, he's talking to people across the globe. Safety. Yeah. How safe are they when their locations is on? And Rona, for mommies who are just not clued up into this techno world, how do we then educate ourselves and be informed in terms of security features, support them safely, make sure that they're really just not talking to perpetrators, because now, the fatal safe, we all know this. So how do we ensure that they can do this but safely, without the risk of them being tracked and harmed and all of that, and even bullied online through their gaming platform?
Thank you. Very excellent question there from Garankuwa Tebogo. Mufenyi from Midrand, welcome to Power Talk.
Hey, good morning, Doctor, to Power FM listeners and to your guest.
Yes.
My question is based on the AI. I would just like to know, at the high proliferation of AI, how is AI impacting the gaming industry in general, and whether negatively or positively? Another example could be of the security, the AI, the way it is posing security threats. How is the industry prepared to counter those? An example could be of the previous listener who just indicated that the kid there is having some issues relating to security. How is the industry prepared in general in terms of putting measures that are countering the AI security measures? Thank you. I'm a first-time caller, but I enjoy the subject.
We love that. We love that indeed. Thank you, Mufenyi. And let's take the last caller, Ivan from Pretoria. Welcome to Power Talk.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clinton. Good morning to the interviewee and the power listeners, as well as those who are streaming live around the internet. So my question was, I wanted you to ask the interviewee, like, how and where do I apply to become a professional gamer? However, specifically on the FIFA gaming app, because I grew up playing PlayStation.
Are you good at it?
I'm good at it, definitely. Even if we can versus each other now, we do maybe 10 million or something. However, I'm totally interested in the gaming app at an overall side. I just want to apply. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Ivan. I thought that was a very pertinent question around cybersecurity, particularly with the kids. Busi, do you want to have a take first?
As far as I know, when I take part in EAXC, I do not have my location on. So I don't have much knowledge as to what the caller was alluding to when she said that her son had
Well,
to
she's
have
worried
the
generally
location.
about the general safety for specifically for minors. As a parent,
Yes.
a child participating in games
correct.
online, how safe is that?
So generally, from my experience, it is safe, but there are safety measures that you can put in so that your child doesn't necessarily get involved with things that he or she is not supposed to. I don't know if maybe Super Dave would like to allude to what those measures could be.
Yeah. So firstly,
maybe before.
Mr.
Actually, let's have a go at it. How safe are these platforms for children?
Very safe. For as long as your child is still in front of you and you see them, they're safe. I think as parents, the first precaution you have to put in place is find out who are they on the party with. So when you play with your friends online, it's called a party. Yeah. So who's in the lobby and who are you having a party with online? Whether they're playing Roblox, whether they're playing FIFA, whether they're playing Call of Duty, or they're playing Fortnite. Find out.
Don't these games have age restrictions?
Yes, they do. But Roblox is mainly for the little ones. They play a lot of Roblox. Fortnite also is quite popular with the little ones.
Warzone doesn't.
Warzone has age restrictions. Then, if your child is under the age of 18, because there's gentle parenting now, so maybe under 16 they start allowing them to see these type of things, because whether you like it or not, kids.
So first port of call, check the age restriction
of the game,
games,
and who you're playing with, and who's online with you. Is it Desmond Skolongo, or is it your cousin Tsepo? Then from there on, you know who's on the party, and yeah.
But doesn't AI then come in here? You could be playing with an artificially intelligent, visual person.
Game. Different publishers do have different security measures in place for such things like that. But there's always loopholes around them. Hence, I say, the moment your child is in front of you and you can see them, first point of reference, basif, banaliwena. So now you just have to ask, who's that, where they from?
And for the kids, does it involve money where they have to sort of bet or purchase? Could they be tricked in that sense?
If obviously a lot of parents know about, there's a currency in Roblox, I forgot the name, that they, V-Bucks, I don't know, is it V-Bucks? There's a currency within the game that parents can buy for the kids to buy things, even on Fortnite and even on FIFA, just to buy some special players and stuff. But the online stores that the publishers have are very secure. Your credit card information is quite secure. The only issue would be is your child using it constantly to buy in-game currency. Then that's where you, as a parent, get the knock-on effect. But if you have provision, mufile 250 to buy whatever in the game, and if it is 250, then that's where you also have to limit the gentle parenting and say, "I chelete fedile." Next month we'll do something else. Yeah.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and we're speaking gaming. Busi, there was a caller who wanted to know, he's good on FIFA. What does he do?
Yes.
Maybe you can repeat the opportunities and where they are found.
So basically, if he wants to get more involved with gaming, he can kindly follow Goliath Gaming on Instagram, which will be Goliath Gaming ZA.
Goliath.
Goliath.
Like
yes.
Goliath.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, got
Yes.
you.
Goliath Gaming ZA on Instagram. We do host a lot of competitions that we have, or more particularly the ones that we do with McDonald's. He can also follow Metro State as well, so he can register online on Metro State and take part in their weekly competitions that they have, where you can actually win 1,000 rand if you do emerge victorious. So there's a number of ways that he can go about it. I'd also encourage him and all the other listeners to go to events like Comic-Con and Rage, where on specific days, they actually run competitions, and you can actually get started by other gaming organizations.
This is Power Talk, as I said, with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. Stay tuned. We are talking gaming. We just want to pay the bills.
A world of more awaits at Vodacom World. Get the Xiaomi Note 14 5G for only 379 Rand per month over 36 months on a 1.4 gig Redcore plan. There's more. Get the deal and receive the Xiaomi Redmi Watch 3 valued at 749 Rand for free. Exclusively at Vodacom World. Now that's more than you usually get. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Attention all Gauteng liquor traders. The Gauteng liquor license application system is now online. No more long queues. No more reams of paperwork. You can now apply for and renew your liquor license anytime, anywhere. With just a few clicks, you're all set to do business, hassle-free. Why wait? The system is live and ready to serve you. Apply for or renew your liquor license now at glb.gauteng.gov.za. Brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Economic Development.
Power 98.7 Weekends. All your favorite hit music all weekend long. From yesteryear's classics to today's hits.
I come over when he's not there.
If it isn't a hit, we don't play it. From Friday evenings with Ian Rube.
Hello to the weekend. So how are you feeling? Le Chapo Fela.
To late night music dates with Kanya Sisibo.
I am your song selector. I'm the one behind the decks for your personal party.
And early weekend morning hangouts with AK Shabalala. We've got all your sing-alongs on lock.
Welcome to this show. You and I are going to have a fabulous time.
Santangotla jams up your Saturdays on Power Jams.
With this good power music, we transition from the morning to noon as you solidify the plans for the Saturday.
With Khoshikadi Rangata taking you through nostalgic music on Power Experience.
Yet another season of the Power Experience. The promise remains good music, good company. A promise that I'm making, a promise that I will keep when I get out here.
Power 98.7 music. Now we're talking. Connect with Mbuyiseni on X at Mbuyiseni Ndlozi.
Yes, we're going to take Sekulela from Tembisa. Welcome to Power Talk, Mama.
Good morning, Mbuyiseni. It's Selukela.
Selukela, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Good morning to your guests as well. I would just like to find out their thoughts on the access to data. So how much role do they think that access to data or data plays, especially when it comes to children that are based in townships and rural areas, for them to access these games online? That's my question.
Thank you very much. Selukela from Tembisa.
I think, well, if we like, I'm from Middlelands. I'm from Middlelands. And throughout the last 4 or 5 years, there's been a big fiber infrastructure rollout in various townships, and the pricing points of those fiber packages are quite lower than what they are in the north. Like what I pay for my parents' house compared to what I pay for my house, two different prices, you know.
Where's your house?
In the north of Johannesburg.
Okay,
Yes.
I mean, the north is a vast...
Somewhere in this urban jungle, I find myself a homestead. But
because of gaming.
and other things and other means, you know. But you find that because of that and infrastructure like that, free Wi-Fi, go the via bus line, go the library, go the malling, mobile gaming would be more popular in a space like that. Whereas he was alluding earlier about the barrier to entry, about getting a gaming console. Gaming console is 10,000 rand. A proper a monitor to play your game is 8,000 rand. Jeez. A game is 1,500 rand, depending on when, like how often are you buying these games. And it might take you 2 weeks to finish a game or 3 days, depending on how much of the game you're consuming it, you know. But I think there are initiatives around, like the guys at MultiChoice, the big broadcaster in MultiChoice, they have this great esports show that plays, and that esports show is a reflection of the school sports program. But if you want to expand it into townships, what they could do, I'm giving them an idea, they could do the Adopt a School program, where the Model C school adopts the township schools, and a township school gets exposed to what the Model C guys are doing through their different esports initiatives.
Commercialization of indigenous games. And just, we're about to conclude, obviously. Surely the gaming doesn't only have to be online. You could constitute games without just with like the good old times.
Yeah.
Just speak to that quickly. Firstly, the commercialization of indigenous gaming, and also access to gaming that is not necessarily always in need of the internet.
I think with that would require a government and corporate partnership, and I think schools would be the best place to start that. If the kids are playing kaprik, if the badlala diketo, machita dlala ali, or badlala topo, or mrabaraba, you know, I think if you can take that and make it as competitive as how chess is at Model C schools, I think you could think that would be a good starting point.
Yes, Chief.
I think on my side, to wrap up, there was the gent who asked where can he sign up earlier on. To wrap everything and to bring the access issue, the connectivity issue all together, all you have to do is to think about the fact that globally, one of the richest gamers in the world is a guy called PewDiePie, who ended up becoming one of the biggest YouTubers because he was live streaming games. In developed markets, that's one of the easiest ways to get into professional gaming, is live streaming your gameplay. And from there, it answers the question of, are you good or not? Because the world is there to watch your gameplay. Are you good or not? Yeah. And you're able to start growing without necessarily signing to a professional team, all of that stuff. If we could bring down all of those barriers, the connectivity. Live streaming takes a lot, right? Connectivity, the equipment, the monitors, to actually make happen. But people are making a lot of, kids and streamers are making a lot of money in other parts of the world. These are all ways that somewhere else it's a low barrier of entry, but in South Africa it might be seen as being tough.
Busi, your parting shot. Dave, I'm sorry, my time is
no, I was just going to say TikTok would be a great start, seeing how popular it is in South Africa. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Busisiwe Masango. Dave, Super Dave, and Mudiwa Gavaza for joining us and speaking about gaming. Thank you very much, comrades, and have an excellent weekend.
Thank you.
On the other side of the hour, we're going to be speaking with Laduma of MaXhosa. Stay tuned with us here on Power Talk. Let's take the news with Tsepiso Musia.
Power News.
Your top stories at this hour. Police have cracked down on a crowd fraud syndicate at SASSA offices near Bree Taxi Rank this morning. And the Nansville Dube West Taxi Association resumes its operations in Soweto this morning following a 4-day self-imposed suspension. Good morning. For the news at 11, I am Tsepiso Musia. The South African Police Service have cracked down on a card fraud syndicate in Johannesburg at the South African Social Security Agency offices near Bree Taxi Rank this morning. Authorities say they have made 3 arrests, including SASSA officials in a sting operation, while 4 other suspects are being sought after. While an investigation has been ongoing since February, authorities beefed up their operations after an identified woman and man were found to have used a fraudulent SASSA card to withdraw money at a retail outlet in Soweto. Gauteng's SAPS's Lieutenant Colonel Mavela Masondo shares more on this developing story.
Remember that in February we arrested 4 suspects in Dlamini. It was 2 females and 2 males, and one of the males is an Ethiopian national. This is after they were found withdrawing money at a ShopRite using fraudulent SASSA cards. So we continued with our investigation. Is then that we revealed that they are working with some of the employees of SASSA in this building. So we're actually looking for 7 of them that are working with the ones that we arrested in February.
At the same time, Masondo believes that this is a bigger syndicate that has been operating due to the evidence uncovered so far as the investigation continues.
Yes, for this specific case, for now, we are talking about the 4 that we arrested in February and the 7 that we're looking for today. So then we are talking about 11. But we believe that it's a bigger syndicate. Because remember, in February, we found more than 150 SASSA cards and bank cards from those suspects. So it shows that there are a lot of people that are involved in this syndicate. And one of the people that we are looking for, the ones that we didn't find today, is the manager.
And staying in Gauteng, the Mansfield-Dube West Taxi Association resumes its operations in Soweto this morning following a 4-day self-imposed suspension. Nandue drivers switched off their engines this week as the association continues to clash with the Witwatersrand African Taxi Association over identified routes. A Joburg Metro Police vehicle responding to the standoff got involved in an accident that claimed the lives of 2 pedestrians on Monday. Gauteng's MEC for Roads and Transport, Giriboni Diale-Tlhabela, has called on both taxi associations to end the ongoing dispute. Power News reporter Bafana Nzimande has the details.
Gauteng MEC for Roads and Transport, Giriboni Diale-Tlhabela, says the long-standing fight between Nandue and Nwata must come to an end.
Because they are not only killing themselves, they are also killing community members. We'll have to be decisive as government and perhaps maybe explore the withdrawal of the permits themselves because they don't own the roads. And that we must tell them.
Nandue drivers suspended their operations over the past 4 days, citing safety concerns. Joseph Ngobo speaks for the association. Nandue has resumed its operations in Soweto this morning. Police continue to maintain strong presence along identified roads. Diale-Tlhabela wants a peaceful, permanent solution.
The law enforcement agencies are on the ground, as far as I'm concerned, and we've been doing the back and forth with the 2 associations. We tried all in our power, and I think different MECs have been dealing with this. But we think now we need to really find a solution.
Bafana Nzimande, Power News, Dube.
On to this now. The trial into the disappearance of 7-year-old Jocelyn Smith continues at the Western Cape High Court, with Laurentia Lombard testifying for the state. Lombard was originally arrested alongside the 3 suspects, but later turned state witness after her charges were withdrawn last year. Her testimony has added complexity to the case, which is unfolding as a tangled narrative of addiction, abuse and contradictions. Questions remain regarding Kelly Smith's potential role in the child's disappearance. Jocelyn's mother, her partner Yoquina Paulus and their friend Stefano van Rijn have been charged with kidnapping and human trafficking. All 3 have pleaded not guilty.
To take food for Ayanda.
Where did you get the food from to make now?
Voor Ayanda car was to us the oggend,
Before Ayanda went to the car wash that morning,
het ek en Ayanda
me and Ayanda,
gepraat
we spoke
oor die middagete.
about the evening food, afternoon food.
En hy, Ayanda,
And he, who's Ayanda,
het aan my gesê,
And now for a look at your financial indicators for this hour. The rand is trading at 18.22 to the US dollar. It's at 23.56 to the pound sterling and 19.77 to the euro. Onto the commodities now. Gold is trading at $2,990.99 an ounce, and the price of Brent crude oil is at $70.48 a barrel. Recapping the top story in Power News at this hour. Police have cracked down on a card fraud syndicate at Xhosa offices near Bree Taxi Rank this morning.
Power News. On FM, online, and DSTV channel 889. This is Power 98.7.
This is Power 98.7. And now you're listening to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. 9 a.m. to midday. Taking your calls on 0861 987 000.
Fashion, 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 fashion. Most people have a very, very positive relationship to what they wear. But this is an important industry for many, many years. From the Garden of Eden, the first fashion maker was God himself. When the two or the couple in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, felt naked, it seems like they were not dressed all along. And God designed their first dress. We've got in the studio the owner, creator of MaXhosa. But before we talk to him, I want you to listen to this part, this conversation that is taking place in the movie The Devil Wears Prada, and it will create some nice starter to this conversation.
Where are the belts for this strap? Why is no one ready?
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Something funny?
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me. I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh, okay. I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue. It's not turquoise. It's not lapis. It's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when, in fact, you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
Welcome, Puti.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Truly, truly blessed to be here.
Yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed ourselves. You've watched The Devil Wears Prada.
I have, as a teenager. That was a very long time ago.
But you remember that scene?
I remember that scene very well. And to me, it came across as that, listen, with or without you, every decision you make about what you put on, there's someone high up that made that decision. So now as an individual, you've got a choice to make decision for others or / influence in some way.
And it is like a cultural movement, the idea of how we dress. I'm thinking here the evolution itself of dress codes in the West and the disruption that denim jeans caused, because it was the introduction of working class wear. Everybody now started looking like a factory worker.
Absolutely.
And we don't make the relationship that denim wear was actually...
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I've learned as an entrepreneur that has been in business for 14 years is that influence and power is one of the most important factors of moving a nation. Because the reason why I'm wearing a cardigan and a tracksuit is because of a certain form of influence that was influenced by someone. Nati, we stand the opportunity to influence.
Yes.
And I don't take that for granted.
Very important. If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We are speaking about, we're going to focus actually completely on MaXhosa as a brand. And we've got the creator here who has joined us in the studio. Let's go back to the university. I love this because most people think... successful people didn't go to school. For some reason, there is a hostile relationship over the years, particularly with these tech giants, because they were all mostly university dropouts.
Yes.
But you discovered, or rather, the inception of your brand with a thesis. Can you just take us through that?
I think a point to mention before I dwell into that is that the stereotype in the creative community is that when you speak of a fashion designer or an artist, the last thing people think of is academics.
Yes.
And people disassociate the two. For me, when I was in primary, I decided that I want to study design and arts to the highest level in the world. Of course, I grew up in a childhood home. My old sister was a year older than me. Utina was doing clothes at home already and selling them after our mother had passed. And for some reason, my mother taught me how to hand machine knit when I was 15 years old. Not knowing that the course that I decided to do in high school correlates with the knitting that I was doing at home. As you know, of course, growing up in a black neighborhood, you have to hide that you are a knitter.
Which neighborhood? Name it first.
That is Gqeberha.
Yeah. Why? I mean, because you're a boy?
Because you're a boy.
I might say you are CC.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I fondly shared with my friends. But because times became tough, I started sharing and I had 1 or 2 customers. I started selling beanies, scarves, and also competing with the school that I went to. I went to a multiracial school. Our mother, before she passed, she made sure that she secured us a spot because she wanted to study in the arts. So fast forward, after I finished matric, I decided that, listen, I want to do this career that is called textile design and technology, that is not popular in South Africa, that is dying. As you know, it was flourishing in the 80s in Gqeberha, Cape Town, and Durban. And so I decided to do it. So on my 4th year, first year, there was about 300 of us students. And they would ask, what do you guys want to do? And I said, textiles. People thought it was designing tiles. But anyway, I continued. And second year, there were 20 of us. People dropped out. There were 7 of us. Third year. And then 4th year, B-Tech. I was the only one left. So I got special attention Because of that, it helped me refine my thesis problem. So I ultimately came up with an idea of addressing something that I saw as a problem in society. That is, us as Xhosa boys, when we go through malehood circumcision when we're 18, the clothes that we're wearing were far removed from culture in terms of cultural iconics. So Pringle of Scotland has Argyle motifs, which is from Scotland. Ely in Scott has Argyle motifs, and I couldn't relate to those clothes as a young boy. And so I decided that, listen, I'm going to come up with a new definition of what modern culture should be as a form of continuation of how our culture should have evolved if by any chance we were not colonized. And so I came up with an idea of taking traditional Xhosa beadwork and modernize them.
What is that? How do you explain that decision or that phenomena of, at the end of the graduation of a Xhosa initiate, you are dressed like a Scottish between Scotland and London?
Yeah, so
you all look like what is that show? It was a big show about a series on TV. I forget it. But how do you locate that? What was that about? Or what is that about?
So that culturally, that is meant to get young boys to look dignified and give them their last cent off, so that they never have to rely on their parents ever again. So the choice of a knitwear, for instance, that they give them is 100% wool, and 100% wool garments last for hundreds of years.
I see.
A part that they give them is a leather sole. A leather sole is durable. So our parents make those choices for us, and then we accept whatever that it is, depending on home circumstance, and then you dress that up. So in my choice, of course,
so this becomes the provocation for your for your exploration of what might an initiate, graduate look like.
Yeah.
And you travel 200 years before.
Yeah.
To try and evolve
that
a textile,
that primitive aesthetic, and bring it to the now, but also proposing it for the future. Because as the black middle class, we keep growing.
Yes.
And therefore, we need to redefine. I felt like we need to redefine ourselves. And that's how the idea came about. So by simply looking at motifs and patterns that our ancestors created in the 1800s, but modify them in my own interpretation, so that I could create like infinite possibilities of design. And Gqeberha is quite an urban metropolitan.
Yeah, very.
It's not rural like Mthatha and Lusikisiki. So I wanted more insight about our culture as well, So I did some research and realized that as Xhosa people, we are so dynamic in terms of clans. Kukabathembu, Amamfengu, Ambondo. So each and every clan has a different way of dressing. They've got their own dialects of Xhosa speaking. Some don't even consider themselves as Xhosa, because Xhosa people have their own monarchy. KwaMaXhosa, Nabathembu, Namambondo. So I looked at those references and then took some of those patterns, and then those patterns are what you see on the regalia that a lot of our customers around the world wear.
If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We are with Laduma here in the studio, the creator and owner of MaXhosa Africa. And we are speaking about his work. So tradition and modernity, Eputi, is basically the battle of your design. Is tradition that must be read as modern. This is not very it's a thing within the fashion industry to travel back and
Back in
forth,
time, yeah.
back in time, but sometimes to say, if we were to land on Mars, I mean, when you look at those big movies, Star Wars and all of that, those people look very different, so to speak. But what for you is this blend of tradition and modernity in your designs?
For me, it's an adaptation of classics, right? So your cardigans, crew necks are classic fits that the West created, but then that doesn't mean that we have to confine ourselves to that and not infuse our own DNA as Africans. Listen, colonization has frozen a lot of evolutions in the continent. I think that we still have a lot of work to do. And there's multiple inspirations to look at that we can use to change our architecture, to change our landscape design, to change pretty much a lot of things. Not that they have to change, but I think that we as Black people have an opportunity to design our own things based around our needs. Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, this MaXhosa has exploded into the global stage. Maybe before I ask my question, let's deal with the assumption that it is on a global stage. How did you move from here to the global stage? What assisted that explosion, so to speak?
Yeah, it's multiple factors, right? I think innovation being the biggest factor.
Yeah.
So while I was doing my thesis project at the Nelson Mandela University, as part of the curriculum, I had to take part in a global design competition.
I see.
And compete in South Africa, and then I went to London to go and represent South Africa against Pakistan, China, Australia, and then I won that competition. Because of that merit, I then got invited to go and speak at conferences.
I see.
About the thesis project.
Academic conferences.
Yeah, academic design, academic conferences and innovation and trend conferences. That helped me be published in international media publications and also be published on schools' curriculum. For the past 14 years, my thesis project got published in the high school curriculum, which I felt like was very important.
Here
in South Africa.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because when I was in high school and university, we never learned about our anthropology, which is crazy. 99%, if not 100% of the curriculum contained Western fashion history.
This is true decolonization. I often had a big conversation about decolonization of the curriculum. If the thesis is we are reading and studying a lot that comes from the West.
Yeah.
Antithesis, we've got to study about ourselves. But since the academy is in the hands of the colonizers, they are unable. So you've got to actually, to do true decolonization, we have to go and write theses so that we produce the knowledge about ourselves.
Absolutely.
Then we can put it in the curriculum. It's not like that knowledge is waiting somewhere and it can just be integrated. There has to be an investment into postgraduate studies. And you are basically telling us that from that point of view, you actually did decolonization of the curricula.
Basically, without intending so, it resulted to that. Even now, me personally, I wanted advancement in terms of my academic knowledge. So 3 years after I started the business, I then decided, listen, I want to go back to school again.
Yeah.
I went to study. From one of the conferences that I attended, I met a tutor that invited me to apply for a
tutor?
Yeah.
Indoni tutor.
She was a consultant for a university.
I see.
And she invited me to apply for an international scholarship. So I got a scholarship to go and study masters at the biggest fashion school in the world, that is called Central St. Martin's in London. I spent 2 years there. Right after I graduated, I thought, listen, as much as I aspired to live in a global city and do fashion, right after I finish, I'm going to Johannesburg. I moved here 7 years ago, and I've never regretted that choice since.
Jesus, if you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. Jesus.
You of all people.
Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We are with Laduma in the studio. Sometimes they navigate MaXhosa through big figures, celebrities. So I was talking about the explosion into the global stage. And you seem to have explained it without mentioning Michelle Obama, without mentioning Oprah and all of that. Was that deliberate, or these figures didn't play a role?
Most of the product placement with big public figures are not things that were intentional or opportunities that were pushed. A lot of those inquiries come to us. An email comes and and it says that Michelle Obama is in a country, and we search for the best fashion brands in Africa. Could you please dress the first lady? And those things, of course, have helped us take our brand to the next level. But I don't talk about those things much because I think that they are the least important. The most important is the person that I grew up with, who calls and says that, my brother, I just bought one of your garments. Thank you for what you do. I love the quality. That validation to me means that being a preacher in my own town and being praised by my own people is the highest achievement I can ever achieve as a designer.
In any way, they came because you were. It was not because they are propping you up. The work itself was already speaking for itself. And they wanted to associate with it.
Of course, there's also an aspirational element of it.
Aspirational element?
Them seeing it being worn by Jadena, a celebrity from America, changes everything. Or young boys from affluent families seeing it being worn by the late Ricky Makado changes people's perspective.
And then they aspire.
Exactly.
So let's go to the headlines, and then we're going to come back. We're still here on Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, and we're going to take the headlines and continue the conversations with Laduma of MaXhosa. The headlines are by Tshepiso Musiye.
Thanks, Mbuyiseni. Good morning. In newsmaking headlines this hour, the M23 rebel group says it seeks lasting peace and solution in the Democratic Republic of Congo, blaming the ongoing conflict on the Congolese government's failure to honor a previous agreement. This follows the Southern African Development Community's announcement during a virtual summit yesterday to end its troop deployment in the DRC with plans for a phased withdrawal. Now, the conflict shows no sign of ending as the rebel group has seized control of mineral-rich areas in different parts of Congo. In an exclusive interview on Power Talk, the group spokesperson Lawrence Kanyuka says their fight can be compared to that of the ANC's resistance against the apartheid system.
The M23 is political military movement, like the ANC was in South Africa at the time of apartheid. The same cause that the ANC was fighting then is the same cause that M23 is fighting today for the people of DRC. Is a political, we have a political, it's not a question of wings or military. We have one organization that have one leadership, and the same leadership we have the military side as well, like an organization.
And Finance Minister Ino Godongwana has described the 2025 budget speech as one that addresses the needs of the poor. Godongwana is appearing before Parliament's finance committees together with other officials from National Treasury. The minister has acknowledged that social services, including healthcare, have been declining due to the low number of healthcare and medical staff. He says this is the reason the budget makes provision for the employment of more doctors.
You would be aware that we've had doctors, unemployed doctors, marching to everybody's office. The last march was to my office, expressing a need to provide this needed service to our communities. It's not about employment, it's about to provide a service. The health budget had been so eroded, as I indicated, that the accruals amounted to 21 billion.
Godongwana also says that any differences regarding the budgets need to be put aside and focus should be placed on the benefit it will have on people.
If all of us here as honorable members, we care about these poor communities whose services have been eroded, it's going to be important that irrespective of where we stand on a number of things, we keep our eyes on the ball. How do we address that issue? It may well be from a different eye. We have not addressed it. As long as the debate is going to be, we must be addressing these needs of our people. But how do the key question, how?
I have more on these and other power stories for you at the top of the hour.
The Proudly SA Buy Local Summit and Expo is happening on the 17th and 18th of March at the Sandton Convention Center. Tune in to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi on Monday, 17 March from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for a special live broadcast from the event. Join us as we bring you exclusive insights and unpack key topics, including the challenges facing local industries, the fight against illicit trade, and the impact of buying local on our economy. Buying local creates jobs. Be proudly South African. Brought to you by Proudly SA. Register for free attendance at proudlysa.co.za.
Mzansi, it's raining jackpots this March. A storm of cash is coming your way with 53 million rand in total guaranteed Powerball and Daily Lotto jackpots this Friday. Don't miss out. Play Powerball for a guaranteed 52 million rand and Daily Lotto for a guaranteed 1 million rand jackpot. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old to play responsibly. E2 is a proud operator of the National Lottery.
This is Gauteng, the pulse of South Africa's economy. Business isn't just here, it booms. With a 1.6 trillion rand economy, world-class infrastructure, and prosperous industry, Gauteng generates 34% of South Africa's GDP and almost 7% of sub-Saharan Africa's economy. From green energy to finance, smart tech to manufacturing, this is where global investors strike gold. On the 3rd of April, the future becomes real. The time to invest is now. Visit www.gic.ggda.co.za and pledge your investment. Gauteng Investment Conference. Growing Gauteng together.
Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, where your voice is heard and opinion matters.
Well, with Laduma in studio of MaXhosa, the clothing textile brand, and we're going to take your calls on 0861 987 000, and you can join the conversation through the hashtag Power Talk. We're speaking to Laduma. Ready to wear versus haute couture versus bespoke. Locate MaXhosa for us in those three
tiers
of fashion.
So ready to wear is what you go and pick off the shelf from our store in Mall of Africa, Sandton, Cape Town, Durban. Bespoke is a special service that you book for, where you reference ready to wear pieces and say that, listen, I like this, but can you change the collar or the trim or the silhouette? And then haute couture, I want to give you a bit of context about haute couture. Haute couture is a French trademark. The French are very strategic when it comes to power and influence. So the term is basically a term for saying that it's high craftsmanship, meaning that that specific design was done with the utmost highest craftsmanship and also designed as a concept piece.
I see.
We do offer that service as well, but we only take orders on 3 months advance notice because it requires sitting down and designing, experimentation, and multiple consultation with the client.
I want to go to counterfeit, but before, the influence of your designs, are there any collaborations that you've had with filmmakers? I'm thinking here, Wakanda was such a fashion explosion.
Yeah.
And one would have thought MaXhosa is possibly involved somehow.
Yeah.
But are there invitations or collaborations you have locally or globally with filmmakers?
Most of the ones that have been happening local are simply just the wardrobe manager just going to the store and buying something.
I see.
And place them in the movie. International ones, I've worked before with a lady called Ruth Carter.
Yeah. Ruth Carter was involved with Wakanda.
Who did Wakanda.
Did she get an award for that?
I think, she got an Emmy Award for that. So when she was doing the first Black Panther movie, she sent me a text as she was about to finish and said to me that, listen, I've been looking for you. I was in South Africa 6 months ago. I looked for you all over, couldn't find you. I love your work and I would love to work with you one day.
Why didn't she tweet? We could have told her. Yeah.
She asked someone, and I think that someone said, no. That guy doesn't live here. He lives in Cape Town. He lives in London. Whatever. But eventually, in 2019, she called me, desperate. She called me and said, hey, I'm about to conclude the Coming to America sequel, and I have multiple gaps that I'm missing, and I think you could help me. First of all, we're shooting in 2 weeks at Rick Ross's house in Atlanta, and we need someone to manufacture these pieces as well, because if we go to China, it's going to take so long. I heard that you have a factory in South Africa. I said, listen, it's going to take a lot of sleepless nights with my team and my siblings. Give me a day. So within a couple of hours, we sketched, presented to her, and she was like, let's go. So I presented, I think, at about 20 designs, but I ended up manufacturing about almost 300 pieces for her.
Yes.
For the movie, and we packed the box and sent it straight to Rick Ross's house in Atlanta. And if you see Coming to America 2, where Nomzamo features. So the opening scene, when the movie opened, it opens with a full MaXhosa look, Nomzamo, and there's various other looks that we did as well. It was an amazing experience. Of course, the movie didn't get that great reviews, but for me, it's a portfolio that has helped me jump over to the current project that I'm about to jump on now. With a very prominent film director. I had to sign an NDA. You know, Americans and NDAs.
Non-disclosure agreement. I can just guess who that is, but if I say it, would it still violate your NDA?
No. If you say it, it doesn't violate it.
Will you say yes or no?
I'll say,
Okay. Let's see. Spike Lee. If you've just joined us, this is Power Talk with me, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. We're with Laduma speaking about MaXhosa. Just before I take the calls, how is counterfeit affecting your product? I'm told that there's a lot of fake MaXhosa being sold in and around downtown, small street and all of that. What is the battle against counterfeit?
I think, first of all, I had to acknowledge that it is a battle that is beyond my power, beyond our power here in the room. And the worst that is gotten, and it has gotten into food. That is the most shameful occurrence that has happened. In clothing, it has been there for decades.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, SARS has slipped on it. SAPS has let it slip. And unfortunately, as much as we've got this very sad number of unemployment in the country, we are still being affected as a business, as MaXhosa, with counterfeits. The effect that it has is that it sort of kills the aspiration of our product a little bit. I just had a chat with a lady on Instagram DMs. I don't know her, but she said to me that, listen, I was at a wedding last weekend, and she says at least 30% of the people that were at the wedding were wearing counterfeits.
Of your brand,
of our work. Of course, we've tried various remedies via law firms, via partnerships with CIPC. So a couple of months ago, I then decided, listen, I'm not going to win this battle alone. So how about I approach someone who's in the IP space? So I approached a lady called Ria and said, Ria, can you start an alliance where you put together all the designers in one room, where we will call CIPC, SAPS, Department of Arts and Culture, to come together and launch a campaign to educate people about the negative effects that this thing has. So there's an NPC that has been registered since October last year. So in a couple of weeks, they will be rolling out a campaign to educate the public. I don't think that government organizations will do much. I don't think that law firms will do much. I think the power of the people will make the change.
That's Laduma there. We're going to take your calls to interact with him here in the studio here on Power Talk. But before that, we want to pay the bills.
One moment, that's all it takes. A split second between life and death. You think you're invincible? That your trip will go off without a hitch? Well, the funeral parlor is more than happy to receive you. Is it too late? One wrong move is all it takes to end it all. Whatever you do, don't let your trip end with RIP. This message was brought to you by the Road Accident Fund, an entity of the Department of Transport. Road Accident Fund. We care.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm stretching for tonight.
I thought you're not dancing at bachelorette parties anymore.
Baby, we need the money to put Johnny through matric mos.
And what's the police uniform for?
The clients feel safer when I wear it.
No, man, just sell your bucky to We Buy Cars. They give the best prices and they pay you within minutes.
Okay, but can I just go and dance one more time, please? You know how much I love it.
No, the buyer's already on his way here.
Wow, okay.
Strapped for cash? Just sell your vehicle to We Buy Cars. The easiest way to sell your car by far.
The Proudly SA Buy Local Summit and Expo is happening on the 17th and 18th of March at the Sandton Convention Center. Tune in to Power Talk with Mbuyiseni Ndlozi on Monday, 17 March from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. for a special live broadcast from the event. Join us as we bring you exclusive insights and unpack key topics, including the challenges facing local industries, the fight against illicit trade, and the impact of buying local on our economy. Buying local creates jobs. Be proudly South African. Brought to you by Proudly SA. Register for free attendance at proudlysa.co.za.
Speak up. Call the Power Line on 0861 987 000.
We're back. We're going to take Glenile from North Riding. Welcome to Power Talk, and Laduma is here.
Hi.
Hi, Sanmunani Njani.
Siyaphila.
Siyaphila. Hi, Laduma. Thank you so much for taking my call. And Dr. Mbuyiseni, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a first-time caller on your show. But quickly, to Laduma, ngifuna ukuhalalisela ngomsebenzi wakho omusha wenzayo. Very well done. Muhle kakhulukazi uwenza nokuthi sibone something that we can relate and connect to, and don't see it just as into yokugqoka. But the question I have for you is, do you ever see yourself as a manufacturing organization or company that could assist other brands, or looking into mentorship into growing other brands that you think they relate to the story you're trying to tell? And would you be able to probably provide textile? And for instance, I have a brand called Rural Doll, but it was more than a brand. It was just a movement. Rural Doll. It was just literally a brand backed by principles. I created a lot of sisters and women around Johannesburg, but we were actually from all the rural. So it didn't have a color or city or village. And I was just only selling T-shirts, and they liked the story and the principle of reminding each other of how far we've come, and of reminding ourselves that we should go back and pick up the mover and win for others. You know, it was more of a movement. And so I'm just realizing of how much that story or that brand worked, and how much it could have worked should we have had somebody like you who can tell our stories and who we are and our values through clothing. Do you think you'll ever be able to take in or manufacture for others? Let's say you come to you and say, this is our design, please assist.
Thank you. Thank you, Qinile. I'm just going to take two more.
All right.
And then I think you'll deal with them in that order. Boniswa in Tembisa, welcome to Power Talk.
Hi, Sanbonani. I hope you guys are well.
We are well.
Firstly, I would like to just say, Laduma, I love your brand. So I used to use you as an example in the class. We always have access to like learners, and kids like fashion, and I appreciated that you have an academic background, so I'd use that as like a mini case study. So learning today that you actually are part of the curriculum, like, yay for it, as like a positive example to show kids that you can have your talent blended with your calling, because you have your talent is deeply associated with your calling. That's how I sort of understood your story. But you still need the academic side, which is going to help you solve like your problems, much better. So, because I caught your story, I think in the Eastern Cape years back in December, there was like a fashion show, and I sort of got to know your brand through celebrities like Unati. So that's how I got association, not personally the price tag. To win the lotto, I'm within, but I appreciate how premium you are, and it's a proudly African Xhosa brand, unapologetically so, and just like sharing your story and being that positive light. And I am so grateful that you exist. So one day, like 2 years ago, I was able to use you in a classroom, for example, and to say, yes, do your fashion, but have a story or like solve a problem, but you still need to sort of learn, academics. Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Really grateful.
Thank you so much, sis.
Thank you, Boniswa. Matsidiso from Orange Grove. Welcome to Power Talk.
Orange Grove. Thank you so much. I just wanted to congratulate Mr. MaXhosa. Is Mr. MaXhosa his name or surname? Or Laduma?
Laduma is my name.
Laduma is the name. The name of the brand is MaXhosa.
Yes, Laduma. Yes. I love your design. It's just that every time I'm at Mall of Africa, I have just to go in and look because I know I can't afford them. But I've just retired and I'm now a golfer. And I'm back to find exquisite, sexy little pieces for women. I'm battling. I'm really, really battling. Is it possible to look into that one? I'm a designer myself, but I never pursued. I was bored with my job. I'm a marketing person. I got bored and I ended up doing design. And I ended up designing for little kids because I had children also, little girls, and I love that. But along the way, I dropped out because it wasn't bringing money home. But I still love that line. I travel for fashion.
Thank you.
But now I play golf. I want to see exciting stuff there. There's nothing,
golf.
Literally nothing. I went to Joburg Open this past weekend here in Mohattan. And my intention was just to see fashion. I didn't see anything. Women were there with their mini skirts, yes, but they were not exciting.
Okay. Thank you, Matsidiso. Tell us as well, deal with the callers, but you had a show last week and you're also having one tomorrow. Walk us through that, and maybe you can deal with some of the concerns of the work of the callers.
Last weekend, we did our 3rd edition fashion show at the Paris Fashion Week on the official schedule. Let me explain why I'm saying official schedule. So the French, which is the mecca of fashion, they've got a federation called the Paris Fashion Week Federation. So on that board of that federation, your Chanel CEO, your LVMH CEO, your Kering Group chairman, top powerful people in fashion in the world, they sit in that board. So every season, medium-sized brands like us have to apply to showcase. And then they sit down and then they look at how much money you're making. They look at your global presence. They look at the quality of your work. They look at a lot of factors. And then they give you permission to come and showcase in Paris. And then they list you amongst the best fashion brands in the world. So they publish that to the public, and then it gets seen by media from the Middle East, Asia, and multiple places. So it's a difficult slot to get into, but we managed last year twice to get into it. And we showcased our winter collection last weekend. And Maglera, our very own hip-hop star Maglera, performed throughout the show. And tomorrow, we're doing a rendition of that fashion show again in an experience that we call the MXS Culture Festival. So about 3 years ago, we thought, listen, well, it is anticipated that in the future, product consumption, luxury purchases are becoming obsolete. People are looking for experiences. And I've always anticipated that, you know, buying things don't give you fulfillment as much as going to experience things like traveling. So we decided to extend our brand experience to a cultural festival that we started doing last year at Nyrox. It's a day-long festival from 11 a.m. until midnight. And we always aspired to have our very own DJ Black Coffee on the lineup. So tomorrow we have the festival here in Johannesburg at the Toadberry Hall. DJ Black Coffee, Lamise, Moda, Maglera is going to perform on the fashion show again, and we will showcase an extension of the fashion show, about 80 looks, and we're so excited. It's been a long time coming.
A powerful one.
It's been a long time coming, and to answer the question that one of the ladies had, literally a month ago, we bought a factory that is based in East London that went on sale / got liquidated. The factory was established in 1965. It's a second generation factory that specializes in knitwear. And we thought, what better brand than us to acquire that? So that factory we've dedicated to increase our capacity and also welcome production of other brands as well. That factory has been servicing for Sheeny and Truworths for 40 years. And there is capacity to manufacture for other brands. Yeah.
Well, the best wishes from us here at Power. We love your work. We love the cultural icon you have become. And from the bottom of my heart, I wish that what you do can really spread, not just in the fashion industry, but as you said, like people in architecture should really think seriously about African designs, people in civil engineering. How do we better blend our cities? We don't always have to follow the West. We can be modern and be African at the same time. And I think that that's the example your product, your work, and its intellectual contribution represent.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and all
Truly
the best also for tomorrow. Up next is Auspabi Mulloyi with Power Lunch. Please stay tuned from us here at Power Talk. Thank you so much. Thanks to the team, Fano, Dipuo, Denzel, and Neo. This is our 10th day, my 10th day, and you've been lovely. Ngiyonibona ngomvulo, dinthanda nonke emakhaya. This is our love song to Laduma and MaXhosa and the entire cultural experience. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
Be the best where I'm from, rather be the worst, that's the best where I'm from. Some see the world as corners of the streets. Ibare is the guy that has something to teach. Clever is the guy that'll always try cheat. The upper-date system got us thinking we weak. That's why gossip people cannot reach their peak. No matter how progressive we are, we're still weak. Jews, Indians stick together so they lead. We hate ourselves, we endorse overseas. From broadcasters to corporate companies. No wonder it guys, success is a dream. And I'm a dreamer, you know.
I can see the light, and the future is bright. Yeah, 'cause I'm a dreamer. Yeah. And if we all just try to keep our dreams alive, we'd be believers. I can see the light, and the future is bright. Yeah, 'cause I'm a dreamer. And if we all just try to keep our dreams alive, we'd be believers.
Imagine if I made success, it'd be like black sweat.